In our ever-connected world, we're constantly sharing our thoughts, our experiences, but sometimes our greatest impact can come from sharing the things that we know. These are the things we've learned, lessons we've grown from, and passions we've mastered. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen. People around the world are now sharing their knowledge as their body of work, building their credibility, their freedom of time, their way to earn an income, and for some, it's their legacy for the world. It becomes a manifestation where their imagination met creation, and what is most exciting about this time is that this movement is for everyone, because everyone is a creator. Everyone has a skill and knowledge they can share. No, they must share. No matter your location, your background, your story, your experiences, everyone can do this. You can teach the things you love and be able to impact the lives of others. You can teach the things that may seem simple to you and be able to grow a community around your work. You can create, inspire, follow your dreams, and change the norm. So we welcome you, the new creators, our next creators. Let this be your platform, because if there's one thing we know, it's that nothing is impossible and everything is teachable. We are live. Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can see me, you can hear me. I am so excited to see so many of you already in the chat. Fun fact, so if this is your first time ever joining any of our Teachable sessions or workshops or webinars, we are in a new office space for the very first time. So the backdrop might look a little bit different, but very excited to welcome you here today. Now, I'd love to know also where you're tuning in from. I'm already seeing people from all over the world, which is really exciting. And today we're in for a treat because we're going to be talking about a topic that I think it's something that everyone wants to learn about, but it can feel daunting. It can feel like this, where do I start? Do I need to hire someone to do this? Can I do it myself? And that is all about branding. And we are joined with the expert when it comes to this. And not just the expert, she's also a psychology-driven brand strategist, the one and only Kaye Putnam. Kaye, thank you so much for being here. What can we look forward to in today's workshop?
Jess, thank you so much for having me. I am so geeked, so excited to be spending time with all of you today, because there comes a point in every business building venture or course building venture where you have this moment of like eek and overwhelm, where you don't know where your voice is, or like you don't know how you want to show up in your own business, because you're seeing so many different strategies, so many different advice and things that you should, quote unquote, should be doing, that it can feel hard to come back to who you really are and the impact that you want to make in this world. So I am going to demystify some of that process here in our training today, and I can't wait to dive in.
Amazing. Looking forward to this. And I can see there's so many people in the chat. Some people commenting on like sound, which obviously I can't talk about because you won't be able to hear me. So I'll type it in. But also if anything looks blurry, if you hover to the bottom of your screen, there's a gear icon. Select the gear icon and then select 720p HD. It's going to make everything so much more clear. All right. So I'm going to switch over to the slides and we can jump into this.
All right, let's get started. Welcome to Brand Your Brilliance. Like Jess said, my name is Kaye Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. We are going to go through a ton of content here in the next 45 to 60 minutes or so. So buckle your seatbelt, get ready to rock and roll. Let's do the thing. All right. So you might be asking yourself at this moment, does my course or does my business even need a brand? Isn't this something that the Nikes, the Apples, the Harley Davidsons of the world do? Me as a solopreneur, a course creator, an author, strategist, whatever your business is, you may wonder if this is even for you. And to answer that question, I want you to think about a white t-shirt. Now, the content of this shirt may change slightly. Maybe there's a different thread count or a cut, or this has, slightly different materials than the other. But in general, a white t-shirt is a white t-shirt. What does change dramatically is the context that you see this t-shirt in. So seeing a white t-shirt in a high-end boutique versus in your local thrift store is going to completely influence your perception of the value and in turn your expectation of what you'll have to pay and if you do decide to buy it, it'll even influence how you treat the product. And all of that is a result of the brand. And let's bring this a little closer to home because we are a teachable audience. I am a proud teachable course creator myself. So selling information is highly relevant for all of us. And how much does information cost? Because anytime that you want to sell something at a price that's higher than the average market value, you're going to need a brand. And maybe, unfortunately, for those of us who are selling information, the average market value is close to zero. Our customers can log on to YouTube, they can subscribe to podcasts, they can log on to Instagram, they can go to all of these different places online and find free, high quality, incredible information, right? Even if you aren't at the place where you've launched your course yet, no matter what you're selling, I'm sure you're seeing this saturation and this price competition in your market too. So even with a book, one of the most crafted, curated pieces of information that there are, you can log on to Amazon and buy this life's work from this author for less than $20 in almost all cases. So this is why building a brand is so important and valuable. And don't confuse my message. It's not that what is inside of your course or inside of your product or your service isn't inherently valuable. I know that it is, but when you're bringing it to market, you have to understand where your ideal clients and customers are at and help shape this perception that they have of you so they also value the information and value that's inside of your product, service, or course. So let's start here. Your brand is the perception that your ideal clients or customers have of you, and branding is the process of being intentional about shaping that perception. Stick with me here. So when perception is done well, it gives you two things that are incredibly valuable as an entrepreneur. So first of all, it gives you pricing power, which means it's that ability to charge more than $0 for the information that you're selling, because that's the lowest common market denominator, like we said. And then it also gives you preference. So you have the ability to win over loyal customers, a bigger audience, and to be chosen, to be preferred over other options. Essentially, we are elevating whatever you're selling from commodity land to become an in-demand brand. And then higher prices, higher sales, that equals profit. So when somebody tells you that your brand isn't valuable or that you should be focusing on other things first, they're completely ignoring this equation, right? This is why knowing what your brand is at a true gut core psychological level is so important. Because the thing is, shaping that perception that your ideal clients, customers, audience have of your business, it's not logical. So our brains are these incredible machines, and they've gotten very efficient over the years through our human evolution. And we're making decisions with about maybe 5 to 20% of our logical conscious brain. Everything else that goes into our decision making, AKA our buying decisions, is on the emotional subconscious level of our brain. So if we don't learn how to influence people's perceptions of us on that level, we're leaving a ton of money on the table. Here's a brand that kind of knocked my socks off. So it was done by Millward Brown, which is an advertising agency, research team for the Brand Z ranking system. And they found over a course of 10 years, for the businesses and brands that invested in both branding and advertising, aka both branding and selling whatever they're selling, they saw 168% growth versus the brands that only invested in selling those push messages. They only saw 27% growth.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing, right? So I realized by looking at it through this lens, we're giving brand a really wide scope here. And I'm going to narrow it down here very shortly, but there's a reason I'm doing this, because I am on a mission to help entrepreneurs change the world with what you know. And you can't do that if you're only operating on that outer level of the visibility of this equation. So if you're only using tactics and short-term things, trying to appease to, say, like algorithms, those things all change really quickly. But what's at the nucleus or at the core of all of these decisions is your brand. So that's what my goal is in this training. I'm going to teach you 3 of my most favorite techniques, tools, strategies that you can implement right away into your business. Some of them are things that are relatively easy, you can do right away. Some of them are going to serve you for years to come. And the first one is how to stand out in a sea of competitors. I don't know about you, but if you are anything like me, maybe you've noticed that this online marketing, online business space is getting really crowded. It is easier than ever. Partly, thanks to incredible softwares like Teachable, it's easier than ever to get into business. So it's really incredibly important that as people who want to make an impact and people who want to change the world, we do it at a higher level. So we're going to talk about how you can stand out beyond average in this first lesson.
I'm also
going to teach.
There's some really great questions. So just note that we're going to have a Q&A at the very end. So write down your questions or to add them into the chat, but we're going to come back to this. So if you're typing and you don't see us answering, it's just because we're going to go through the presentation and then we'll circle back to it for sure.
Thanks for saying that, Jess. Yes, we will have tons of time for Q&A at the end. I'm so excited to hear your guys' questions. So second piece is how to elevate whatever you're selling to unlock that power to profit. And the beauty of these 5 dials, these 5 C's that I'm going to teach you, is that they can be used no matter what stage of business that you're at. Even if you don't have a huge audience, even if you don't have a lot of quote unquote authority in the market yet, these things are going to help you charge more and sell more of whatever you're selling. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up with a tidy little bow and teach you what you can do first to reach people on this psychological level. And all of this gives you the ability to attract a larger audience, sell more courses now and later, and change the world. I'm a little bit self-conscious because I want to teach you like everything that's in my brain, but I just know that that's not possible in an hour. So I'm going to do my very best, but just know that you're in good hands. I have been doing this for over a decade and a half in many different capacities. Many of you may know me if you've come into contact with me before for my brand quiz, which has been taken over 100,000 times. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I just want to acknowledge the fact that as an entrepreneur, I struggled through a lot of these same things that I'm going to teach you, and I handpicked the things that made the biggest difference in my business. Because when I first started online, I was so awkward. I was just trying to like model what other people were doing that was successful, and that never worked for me. And if you're in that place where you're implementing all of the strategies and doing all of the things, but you're not seeing the results that other people are seeing, it's probably because you're missing this layer that's underneath. I'm going to show you that here. And I'm especially excited to be here because, like I said, I have been a member of the Teachable community. Just getting super excited and ahead of myself with my words here. But I've been selling courses on Teachable myself since late 2016. So in that time, I've had over 500 paying students, over 300K in sales. And I attribute a massive piece of that to building my brand and taking this long-term sustainable approach to building my business, as opposed to just going for the next shiny object all of the time. And I put my course logos up here because I want to make sure that we address this misconception really quickly here right away in the beginning of this training. So we want to make sure that we're not confusing the word brand with your course logo, or even with just your colors or the fonts that you choose. Those are all the very tippy top of the iceberg when it comes to your brand. Like we said in the intro, your brand is this total perception that the market has about your course or your business. It's that cumulative effect from your language, the voice, the visuals, yes, the colors, yes, the logo, but also the stories that you tell, the phrases that are unique to your brand, the experience that you give to your students, and even who you are as the founder, as the entrepreneur, as the person that's driving this. And this branding work isn't just applicable to people like you and I who are running our own businesses, who are entrepreneurs. It works for the biggest brands in the world and across all of the different industries. So even if you're not, running XYZ business, whatever you think that I'm speaking to, I'm actually speaking to all of you. And I've worked with my process through all different types of industries, from online course consultants, B2B types of situations, all the way into like trucking and logistics and real estate and plastic surgeons and everything in between. So it really does apply to everybody, because the beauty is the human psychology algorithm doesn't change. The things that we do to appeal to our ideal clients and customers is going to always work, because humans haven't been rewired, or we haven't evolved past a lot of our base instincts in hundreds and thousands of years. And just a quick taste of what's possible. A lot of my clients are way more successful than I am, including Scott Oldford, who attributes selling millions of dollars of courses to building his personal brand and the attention that he's been able to capture with that strategy. Okay, so are you ready? Type a yes in the chat if you're ready to unlock your innate brand advantage, which means no more second. I know, me too. I'm like if I talk too loud or if I get too excited, talk too quickly, I apologize. Like I said, I'm just trying to cram all of my best stuff into this training, and I'm so excited to be here and geeking out about branding with all of you guys.
The chat is just so much energy. Yeah, everyone's ready.
Yeah. Amazing. So like no more second guessing, no more having this constant comparisonitis or imposter syndrome. You can attract a larger audience. I like to call this your brand gravity. Like you just attract people, you pull people in with this intense gravity, and they stick around in your orbit because they want more and more of what you sell. Like we talked about in the beginning, it can mean higher prices and definitely more profit with that pricing power. And then lastly, when you have a great brand, your peers will take notice as well. So you get invited to do things like this. You get invited to share what you know to impact more audiences because you've built that trust in the marketplace. Okay, so stand out in a sea of competition. To do this, I look at it almost completely backwards. So instead of looking out at all of that competition and trying to find your quote unquote like blue ocean strategy, or trying to find a hole in the market, what is often much, much more effective is to turn that inside out. So by defining your strongest values, your strongest stories and message that you can bring in the market, you naturally become the most potent and attractive version of yourself. Maybe you've noticed, or maybe you've experienced, like I did when I first started my business, that trying to be all of the things that you are, or trying to, again, model what you see other people doing that's successful, it just ends up being like this convoluted, me too, less powerful version of yourself. And not only that, but like we as humans are multifaceted human beings. You can be the caregiver at one point. I'm a mom of two. I also had the incredible opportunity to trek to Everest Base Camp earlier this year. So I have that adventurous side of me. I used to be a high school athlete, and I love CrossFit and lifting heavy things. So I have this like ambitious strength as a part of me as well. And then if you haven't noticed yet, I'm a complete 100% nerd. I spend almost all of my free time reading books and researching things that I can bring to trainings like this. So I also have that side of my personality. And you as a human probably have all of those things as well. But if you were to try to be all of the things all of the time in your brand, you might end up confusing people. And when I was in that state of confusion, or in that state of not knowing which part of myself to highlight in my brand, or what values to bring to the market, I was on this weird online rabbit hole search. Maybe you can relate. Maybe this has happened to you before, where you're just following link after link after link. And I ended up on this website. It looked like it was built in the 90s, back on like GeoCities or Tri-Cities for super nerds like me who built websites back in the 90s. And it just explained what I now know are 12 brand archetypes. And this is the first tool. You may have heard of it before in the past, or this might be brand new to you, but I promise you that when you really tune into what brand archetypes are, you're going to start to see them everywhere. I literally cannot walk through the mall or through a grocery store or even watch a TV show without seeing these patterns show up again and again. And I'm excited to share this with you because it was literally the biggest epiphany aha moment in my career, like ever. So what archetypes are is there's these recurring categories or patterns or tropes, if you will, that plug you into the entire emotional spectrum behind your brand. So they don't just tell you or give you inspiration about maybe what your design style should look like or just your personality attributes, but they connect you with deeply held human beliefs, desires, points of view, and motivation. So if you know what your top 2 brand archetypes are, you now have a very strong filter of how you can show up in the market that is completely true to you. It's who you are when you're being your best. And it's going to be that potent version of yourself that's going to attract more people to you. Because remember back when we were talking about that white t-shirt, you can find that content anywhere. You can find that content of a white t-shirt in many different places. It's the context that we wrap around our brand that is going to make the major difference when it comes to attracting ideal clients and customers to you. And to give you a brief primer, because I can't go into each of the 12 in any great detail in this 1-hour training, but to introduce you to each of the 12, there's the magician, the girl or guy next door, sometimes called the everman, maverick, sage, explorer, entertainer, royal, lover, caregiver, hero, innocent, and creator. And when you know what your top 2 are, it becomes like your special sauce or your X factor that you can bring forward in your brand because your clients are going to understand what you stand for. And to create even more clarity. Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
I also just want to add, just because there are a lot there. I personally have done this, but I know you have a quiz for people to be able to find out what their archetype is. So I highly recommend it. Not even like you didn't know I was going to say that. I've done it. It's amazing. But if you want to dive deeper to know what your archetype is, that was a super helpful resource for me.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, I should have mentioned that earlier. I essentially created the quiz for. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I created the quiz for myself because when I first found these 12 archetypes, I was like, oh, I can see like what this entrepreneur is. I can see what this entrepreneur is being. I can see what this other entrepreneur is being. But it's still really hard to see yourself clearly. And I needed a tool that was going to give me something that was less tainted by my own perspective of myself. So the quiz is an incredible resource for that. Here's some of the big brands. So know that if you're going to use this tool to leverage this to speak to your ideal clients on a more emotional, psychological level, you are in really good company. So even though branding isn't just for the Coca-Colas of the world, this is the same techniques that they're using as well. And as you lean into these different archetypes and research them and figure out what yours are using the quiz, you can find different resources both on my site and other sites that are going to teach you what that means. And it's going to give you inspiration that you can incorporate into your brand. So for example, let's say you're launching a course about how to build a business. If you know what your archetype is, you get to wrap it in a different context, no matter if the content is the same. So for the magician, you might call it like how to create your own reality. The girl or guy next door might position it that anybody can build a business. Maverick is about disrupting the status quo and onwards and onwards. You guys can read the screen, hopefully. I won't touch on every piece here, but you can start to see how by looking through a lens or through a filter, it gives you less decisions that you have to make. So you can start to bring forward these themes that we know that humans want and desire into our brands so that you're speaking to them on a level, that they know and that they desire. And again, using the words that you're choosing to describe your course, your product, or service can be influenced by these archetypes. They can also help influence your design decisions. They can help influence the stories that you tell or the context that you wrap your stories in. Incredibly far-reaching benefits for knowing what your archetype is. So I do recommend taking the quiz, choosing your top 2. Know that you are parts of all 12, so don't get too much like decision overwhelm, knowing that there's 12 different ones and you resonate a little bit with each of them. The key is you're just trying to limit the overwhelm. You're trying to find this tool that's going to give you more focus in your brand. And then learn what you can. And yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, for those of you looking at the quiz, I don't know if we sent a bunch of traffic, but people are, loads of people are trying to view the website at the same time. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so just maybe save the link and then we'll circle back to this. Good problem to have, I guess. Sorry, continue. Just wanted to let you guys know.
That's amazing. That's the first time that's ever happened to me. Business milestone. We also have some really fun share graphics that you can use either on Instagram or just like on Facebook or wherever your social media platforms are. Each of these 12 brand values correspond to one of the archetypes. So you can use this to like just check off what your top 2 are, top 3 are, and then be sure if you do share this on Instagram that you tag Teachable and I, because I would love to see what you post. Jess, do we have? So I have these graphics like in a Drive folder. Do you want me to give you the link after? I gave it to Haley, but I'm just realizing that.
Definitely. Or I think Haley's watching this now. We could probably post it on our Instagram. Then you could take a screenshot on your story and then reshare it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually have 3 of these babies because I think that they're so much fun. And it's just a great way to solidify what you're learning here. If you can take a small action step right away from this training, it's going to just soak into your mind so much better. And the key with knowing what these archetypes are, it's kind of like a fun and novel tool when you're first introduced to them. Like I said, it was a major light bulb moment for me. But the key is that we want to build your brand on truth, not trends. We don't want to just look out in the market and be like, oh yeah, I kind of like this color, I kind of like that design style. We want to make those decisions from that unapologetic inner knowing about who you are and what you stand for. All right, so the 5 C's to elevate your brand's position. I want you to think of these as dials that you can turn up or turn down in any piece of content that you're producing. I use all 5 of them whenever I'm creating like a course sales page, and then you can break them up into individual pieces for your content marketing strategy. It can be used literally everywhere that you're showing up. And we're gonna dive in. Whoops. Let's try that again. Did you see my screen mishap there, Jess?
Very suddenly. It's all good. It looks good.
Let me just pull up my speaking notes again. And all 5 of these are rooted in what we know to be true about human psychology. Again, so we're adding in the personality, and then we're making sure that the message is actually going to sell whatever you're selling using psychological truths. So the first one is clarity. And the thing that I want you to remember with creating clarity in your brand is that there should be what I like to call a brand utopia. So what is this promised land that you are guiding people to, or that you're promising? The clearer that you can paint that picture for your ideal clients or customers, the better off they're going to be attracted to you. Because if they want that promised land, you are going to be the person that is uniquely positioned to give that to them. Next is credibility. And again, I promised when I created this training that you don't have to be a big brand to leverage this. You can use testimonials at any stage in your business. Even if you haven't been featured in Forbes, you can work on getting interviewed on, say, like a podcast that's in your niche or in your industry. You can also, like I did in the beginning of this presentation, use stats or facts that are researched by people that are relevant to what you're teaching, even if it's not talking about your work specifically. So that stat that I shared about the growth of brands that use both brand and advertising is relevant because it's relevant to my topic, but it's not something that I commissioned, and it's not something that they're talking about directly about Kaye Putnam's work, but it creates credibility. It appeases that 5% of the decision-making that's logical and conscious. You can also talk about the number of students you've served or any other fact-based achievements. These things, sometimes we get caught up in this is all that we share, but it's really important to have a mix of all 5 of these C's. The third C is contrast. So if you can create a unique framework, again, showing up in a unique style or personality using your brand archetype, and then also show the difference between you and other options. I like to hit home on the fact that when I talk about branding, design is the last decision that I'm making with my clients. We always start from a psychological first perspective and build out from there. So that positions me as contrast between me and other brand strategists and other designers or people might be selling similar content of offers, right? It's all about this context that we wrap around our content. Also, if you offer an elevated experience and you can show people in advance, Teachable has this awesome option where you can give people like a free preview to your courses. I just turned this on recently and I'm going to test it in my sales funnel. But that's such a great way to give people a taste, to show the elevated teaching quality or experience that you provide within your courses. And you can adopt that type of strategy in all that you do. Number 4 is certainty. So the act of removing risk. Again, just reaching back to like the Teachable platform itself, they have it almost as a default where you can offer or explain to people what your refund guarantees are. And it's such a good practice to have because the internet environment, the online marketing environment is generally low trust. Since anybody can start a business, since anybody can sell anything, we have to work extra hard, especially compared to that mom and pop business down on Main Street in your local town, to create trust. So the more that you can do that within your online business and in your online brand, the better off people are going to feel handing over money, giving you payment, investing in whatever you're selling. And then lastly, when you're creating these messages, these psychology-driven messages, whether this is on IG stories or it's in your about page, it's on a sales page, again, we're using all of these 5 different psychological factors to make sure that we're speaking our ideal client's language. We always want to ask them to take action. We have to make sure that they know what to do next, that it is easy for them to pay us money and to take the next step with us. Because for those people who are in pain, they are so ready to solve the problem that you can solve for them. Sometimes they just don't know what to do. Sometimes they just need the invitation. I like to compare this to, imagine like one of your good friends, like somebody that you have been over to their house countless times. Even in that situation, a lot of times we don't just show up unannounced. Like it can really throw people off to just barge into somebody's living space. And your ideal clients and customers can feel the exact same way. So you have to ask them to take this next step, ask them to commit to deepening the relationship with you, invite them into your living room. So the action steps for this psychological tool can literally be used in all of the places. I know that it seems simple, and I love the quote from Einstein that says, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. But I think that as you implement and you audit your different touch points, you're going to see that you're probably missing one of those 5 dials. And if you just turn that one up, you're going to see so much better results in your sales messages and in the way that people are interacting with your brand. All right. How's everything going in the chat, Jess?
Amazing. Oh, wait, where was it? Sandra said, already have takeaways. Great. So much. Yeah, people are really resonating with this, learning a lot. And again, we're going to have a Q&A too. So get your questions ready if you want to dive deeper in any of the things that she covered.
Absolutely. Okay, we are going to finish up with my favorite. I mean, if you've been in my orbit for any length of time, you know how obsessed I am with archetypes as a tool. But we'll give this one the lovingly like second place because it is the exercise that I do with all of my clients, no matter if they're paying me, $15,000 or if it's somebody in one of my $297 courses. I love this exercise and it is so incredibly important to create some of this attraction that we've been talking about, because it's not just about the result. It's not just about the how-to. As a sage archetype myself, I'm a sage and magician blend. I have been stuck in my left-brained strategic mind for so long that it's been a struggle for me to add in like stories and human elements into my brand. But it wasn't until I did that I started to see the results that I've been really proud of lately. So challenge yourself to be more of yourself in your brand, even if you're not the face, or if the name of your brand isn't your personal name. Just know that humans connect with humans. A lot of this brand building and audience attraction strategy happens in the exact same way that humans make friends. So friends are made by sharing values, by sharing stories, by being your unapologetic weird self. We don't want the person that is a shapeshifter and changes who they are depending on what situation that they're in or who they're talking to. We want the person who is so sure of who they are that you know what you're going to get. And this exercise is my favorite way to do that. So it's going to help you attract your people. Don't let this scare you, but it repels the ones that you don't want to work with. And I promise you, there are those people. You want to have that values alignment. And you're also going to stand out in the market by not being vanilla. I like to say that you need to own your edges. So the exercise is to consider, and I like to literally write down a sheet of paper, 1 through 10, challenge yourself to go further than that if you can, like 15, 20, 25, and answer the question, what do you believe about the world? So I believe ... Finish that sentence 10 to 15 to 25 times. If you've never done it before, it is mind stretching. I struggled, to be honest, the first time I did this exercise, because I could see in the market that these entrepreneurs that I was following, these big brands and big businesses that I looked up to, they all had strong opinions. They were taking a stance. They were standing out by sharing their voice. And I didn't know what mine was at that time. It took conscious thinking to be like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I believe. This is what I think is true about the world. This is the change that I want to see about the world. So if you think about Teachable and that incredible intro that they play, they finish it up by saying that everything is teachable. This is an example of a great belief statement. Nike, the athletic brand that most of us know and love, one of their core beliefs, although they don't say it exactly this way, is that everybody is an athlete. So no matter if you're playing basketball in some inner city with your friends in a pickup game, or if you're Michael Jordan, you are an athlete. Just do it. One of my core beliefs is that you need to build your brand on truth, not trends. You heard that here in this presentation. Another one of my clients, just as one last example, her overarching belief is that we need to end parenting shame. So yes, her industry is in the child product situation, but you can see that these beliefs go beyond that. It's not just, okay, this is what I believe about creating courses, or this is what I believe about whatever industry you're in. It's like, what do you believe about success? What do you believe about work-life balance? What do you believe about family or love or relationships? What about competition? There's a brand that I love. I think it's called the Rising Tide Society.
We love Natalie Frank. Yes.
Yes, they're amazing. I think they originally started catering towards photographers and especially other creative entrepreneurs. But one of their main belief statements that they've rallied their entire community around is that it's about collaboration, not competition. And it's so powerful because it's something that people can rally behind. People get excited when you share your beliefs because they're like, oh, yes, that's what I was thinking. And another way to look at this to get some really good ideas is to look at opposing forces. So there's like this whole camp of entrepreneurs that believes in hustle and like doing hard work. And then there's this other camp of entrepreneurs that's like, oh no, you should have ease and it should flow. So like, what side of those two opposing forces are you on? And what other opposing forces can you take a look at and take a stance on? And we have a fun share graphic for this as well, which is
we'll post that in the chat again as well. And I'm sure on our Instagram too, so you guys can have some options.
Amazing. Amazing. This one in particular, I am most excited to see people share. And then I wanted to just wrap all of this up because we're talking about your brand on this foundational level. And you might be getting to this point in the training where you're like, okay, where's the fonts and the colors? Like, I thought we would be talking about design. And that's fair. I can understand that because that is the common perception of branding. And I wanted to just show you a few ways that once I figured out who I was at my core, I just love Teachable as a platform to be able to show off my brand. So it's so cool because like Teachable in itself is one of those platforms where it's hard to make it look bad, but then you also have the opportunity to make things elevated, to elevate the average or elevate that experience. So I was able to pop in like my brand colors, which were chosen based on my truth and based on my archetypes, my on-brand imagery. You can see that like nerdiness of mine showing up in that lower right-hand photo of me wearing a Mother of Dragons Game of Thrones shirt, which is like my all-time favorite. And then you also get to incorporate your brand experience into the different touch points within your courses as well. So you get to bring those decisions to life. But the key takeaway that I want you to leave this training with is that all of these decisions, especially if you've been feeling overwhelmed about them, it's because you haven't reached that clarity on the inside yet first. And once you get clear on how you want your brand to make people feel, how you want people to experience you and your brand, how you're going to own your edges and stand out in the market, then these decisions become much easier. Whether you're working with a designer or you're doing it yourself, if you don't have this clarity, you're going to end up all over the map and all over the board. And then just this one was, again, using an on-brand photo shoot or photo of myself and then incorporating that language right there into the Teachable platform. And then my last fun thing is that you can describe your brand in GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you pronounce that word, as like a fun, like tying a bow on this whole experience. So we talked about some really deep, meaningful things down to your core personality, what you believe in the world, and then those like powerful 5 C's of psychological selling. And then this is just a fun way to bring your audience that you have on social media along for the ride. And it's not in exact alignment with those big things that we've been learning about and teaching here in this course, but this is the kind of stuff that will entertain people. It'll help humanize your brand. So I highly recommend that you use these share graphics and do tag both me and Teachable because I cannot wait to see what you post.
This was amazing. I have to say, like, the takeaways that I'm seeing in this chat, it's also, I want to say it's not just people being like, oh, this is amazing. It's really also just hearing like branding itself can be daunting because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I have to design these things. And the fact that you left design at the end, which is also what someone said here in the chat, made it feel so much more genuine and also so much more approachable to be able to tackle that first. And then the design and all the pretty things come in after. So super excited that you are focusing on that. And I also want to say that we did it. This has been so, like, we're going to go back. I know there's a lot of questions and we're going to go through those. But I want to know, first of all, I want to talk about you. Because you're obviously serious about creating a profitable online course and a brand. And you want to do this, but you want to do this right. And I want to acknowledge you for that because most people, as you know, do not take the time out of their busy Tuesday to sit for an hour to learn about a new skill. So the fact that you're here, we appreciate you spending your time with us. And also just, it says a lot about where you're going. And I want to know, I mean, I don't think I need to ask you if you found this helpful, but I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was. I know there have been a few aha moments, but what has been the thing that has specifically really like helps you kind of get more clarity on this? And I really do hope though, and I want to switch my screen because I think you can only see, interesting. Give me 2 seconds because I want you guys to see it full screen so it looks a little bit more Interesting. Okay, well, you might have to look at both displays, but hopefully that's okay. But who here feels a little bit more like this, which is just like information overload? Because there's a lot of information, and really there's two paths that you can take from here. Both of them are going to work. The first path is just to go on your course creation journey yourself and learn all of the elements of branding and what your archetype is, and kind of just do it on your own. And I think for a lot of you here, that might be the right step. You might not need any extra guidance or any extra support, and I think you'll be successful doing it that way. Sometimes, though, it can be a bit slower and a little bit more work, but it is a viable option. And then the second path is just to get a proven step-by-step plan from people who've done it before, and then follow that plan with their help. And I think the second path is usually faster, it leads to better results, but most importantly, I think it's more fun just because you're not doing this alone. Like, you have that guidance to be successful. And if you're interested in getting more help, like in path 2, we've actually put together something really special, which is you are going to get not just Teachable today. By joining Teachable, you're going to get Kaye's course, Truth, Not Trends. And Kaye, I'd love to hear from you, kind of like, what can we expect from this course? Why should we be so excited?
Yes, I'm so excited for the people that are going to jump into Teachable and get this course as a bonus, because while we talked about some really big and really important things, I taught you as much as I could for my 15 years in branding and business here in this short time together. The Truth Not Trends course gives you more of the how. So it's like, okay, now that I know who I am, like, how am I actually going to make some of those design decisions? Or how am I actually going to start to craft the messaging that sounds unique and like myself? Also, how am I going to get out of my own way when it comes to creating my brand? And all that is included in that course.
I'm so excited. And yeah, again, I think, yes, and Kaye's on Teachable. So yeah, super excited for that. We're super grateful that you have included that as part of this bundle as well. And let me just go back. I think I've managed to make this full screen. Okay, so yes, you're getting Kaye's amazing course, but you're also getting Teachable. So, okay, apparently technology today. Okay, so yes, you're getting Teachable, our professional plan. It is our most popular plan, and really it's everything that you need in order to not just build out your course, but to accept students. You can customize a look and feel when you are ready to get clear on what your colors are and your fonts. There's full e-commerce to accept payments, there's drip content, and most importantly, on our professional plan, there's no transaction fees. So no matter how much you make, it's the same 0% transaction fees on that, and instant payouts. And then once you have, in our humble opinion, the number one software to deliver your online course, you're going to want that step-by-step plan to help you create and launch it. And this is where Teachable U comes in. It is our flagship program, and it is based off of all of the insights and data and learnings that we have behind the scenes of what it takes to be successful as a creator. And it's not just one massive program, because that can be very intimidating. We've intentionally broken it up into 4 key courses to tackle the different elements that will be important for you. So if you need help finding your perfect course topic, so you have ideas, but you're not sure which one is going to be the most profitable, which one is going to really impact your customers, we have the Choose Your Course Topic course. And this is the best way to accelerate your course creation journey, because you're going to get our transformation framework to come up with the perfect course topic. You're going to understand our 4 foolproof techniques that we even use to validate our ideas. So you're not just choosing good ideas, but ones that are actually going to be profitable. Now, if you're ready to do this, but you're like, I need help actually building that initial audience. So maybe I have a small email list or a lot of people on social, but I want to grow an email list. The second course in Teachable U is all about that. So this isn't just going to show you how to grow an email list. We're going to show you how to grow a list of people who are the right people for your course, people that are interested in that topic. We show you our mini course strategy and so much more. And then once you get through that and you're like, okay, I have my email list, I have my topic, but what about actually creating the course? That part is a little bit intimidating. We have the Create Your Course, and this is breaking down everything that you need to know to build out your curriculum, our budget-friendly home studio to, if you want to go to a professional level, video content creation. We show you what to do, how to do it. And then after going through all these lessons, you'll have a professional looking course and an audience that is eager to buy. And then last but not least, we also have the launch. right? Because maybe you have the perfect course, but you're not actually sure how to create a funnel. How do you sell your course? What do you send in those emails? This course is going to cover that. And really at the end of it, you'll walk away with our 8-day launch calendar. You're going to have the emails, like we have swipe copy that you can implement into your course as well. And then after you go through this, like I said, you're going to have everything that you need in order to not just create your course, but launch it. And then on top of that, I feel like Oprah, I'm like, and there's more. But we have a bunch of bonuses and PDFs and checklists. And really, we just try to think through everything that we thought you would need to make this process easier and quicker and just more enjoyable. Now, you can go through this at your own pace, so that way it fits into your schedule, but you are getting the exact tool that tens of thousands of teachable instructors have used to grow their online course business, like Kaye. So everything you're getting today, you're getting our professional plan, which is valued at $99, and you can cancel at any time. You get Kaye's amazing course on branding, which is valued at almost $600. So again, thank you for including this, Kaye. And then full access to Teachable You. That is a total value of over $1,500 just by joining Teachable. But what I will say though, is that if you're not quite ready for the professional plan and you're like, I want to be a part of this, I want to really start this journey, but I don't know if this is the right fit for me, we'll also include this to the basic plan. So it's $39. It still has most of the great features. The biggest difference though is that there's less advanced marketing features and there's a 5% transaction fee and a 30-day payout. So professional, it's instant, 0%. Basic, we say it's a better fit if you're not looking to make money with courses and maybe just offering free content. And professional plan is our most popular plan. But what I want you to do next is you will see that above this video, there should be a button that pops up. If you want to join the Teachable family, we'd love to have you here. And you'll be able to select the plan and you'll get all of those bonuses. Now, I will say we have a 100% money back guarantee. So you can take 30 days, go through everything, set up your school. And then if for some reason you're like, this just isn't the right time or the right fit for me, let us know. We will give you 100% money back guaranteed. And this just gives everyone at least the opportunity to see if this is for them or not. So again, this is everything you're getting today, the course, Teachable, Teachable You. And we're going to go into the Q&A in just a second because I really do want to spend some time diving into the amazing questions that we had coming in. And we have some nice testimonials from Alan Perlman here, who has a course on drone flying, who is struggling to get their course off the ground, no pun intended, but Teachable helped them do that. We have Mariah Cause, who is a business and marketing expert, also uses Teachable. And I want to say, if you are an existing Teachable customer and you happen to be on this webinar, we value you being a part of this family. So if you send us an email, we will get you the bonuses as a thank you. And if you are on the basic though, you can upgrade to pro to get that. So once you upgrade, you will select the plan that is the right fit for you. You'll get an email with all the details and then immediate access into Teachable You and the access to Kaye's course. Okay, so the question is, why is this offer so great? Why are we just including all of this stuff? Teachable You, why are we doing this? And honestly, the easiest way to answer this is that we are a software company. So one, we're not in the business of selling courses, but also we are dependent on our customers being successful. If you are not successful in Teachable, you're not going to stay on Teachable longer. So we need to do everything in our power that you feel supported, that you have the guidance and everything you need in order to take action and get results. If you need assistance, we're here to help. We have our customer care team standing by, but we did it. I'm excited to just switch over to the Q&A. Thank you for spending your Tuesday with us, and I'll be here reading your questions in the chat. And also let us know if you have upgraded as well in the chat so we can personally welcome you. So let's dive into this. Okay, and if I miss your...
Is it okay that I'm over back on this tab, Jess?
Yes, it's say again, sorry.
Is it okay that I'm back on this tab? I wanted to be able to see you.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you're all good. We can see your video. Candace says, is basic $39 a month? It is. Interesting question here from Deborah. How do freebies work with branding? Do they build trust with our audience, and how many should we offer?
Yes, I think that more that you can demonstrate the value that you bring to people, the better. I think the thing that could be a potential negative when it comes to the long-term success of your brand would be discounting paid products. offering things as bonuses, that is great. Offering things as freebies, that's fantastic. But if you are constantly in the like JC Penney, it's a US retailer around in America, if you're constantly having another 50% off sale or another 40% off sale, unless you're being deliberate about that, that could negatively impact the long-term growth of your brand. But freebies themselves, perfect strategy for getting in front of people and attracting that attention.
Awesome. So we have the Maven asks, how do we get the upgrades if we already have a pro account? So if you are already on pro, send an email to support@teachable.com. Again, we value you as a customer and we'll ensure that you get this as well. Deborah says, makes sense about the discounts. Julie, okay, we have a lot of Teachable specific questions here. New to Teachable, this can be my host of website, correct? Not just my course. Yeah, I would say so you have you can have pages and we have a very minimal blog feature, but really I would look at Teachable, the area that we thrive in the most is to host your courses, your content, where you're sharing your knowledge. So if you want more advanced features like creating your own website and all these fancy things and then your course, most people actually, I think, Kaye, you probably are on Squarespace or WordPress, and then they connect their Teachable, they just link to their Teachable course from there.
Yeah, so Teachable has really excellent, especially new sales page designs. So those are fantastic. But you're right, I have my main website on a WordPress platform, and then I link to Teachable when I'm actually sending people to the courses.
Great. Michaela asks, my course would be in Spanish. Can Teachable support that? Yes, so you can actually translate. You have to do the translation, but you can translate every element in your school to be in whatever language you want. We have many people that do that. Okay. Question for Kaye, how important is building the mailing list? Some say that is key. Do you agree? I struggle to get more people.
If you're struggling to get more people, I find these days that people really want something in exchange for joining the email list. And as we talked about in the training, the competition is getting fierce. So just a checklist or a PDF is losing its luster or its attraction. So you have to work on using those 5 C's to really sell the freebie that you're offering to join your list. And I say that because I think your email list is one of the most important assets you can build for your brand. I was just looking at my analytics today, and I think that the average lifetime value of my email list is over 10 times the amount. I think it's actually more. I think it might be incredibly exponential difference, so 100 times or 1,000 times worth more than the people that are coming from social to my business.
That's, yeah. Email, people are does building an email list count anymore? And it's you also have a direct connection with them. You can email them, whereas with social, it's you hope they see your post, but it's not guaranteed. Cordelia is asking, I'm interested in taking Kaye's course for my design business, but I don't want to teach online courses. Is there another way to access the Truth Not Trends course? Yep, you can go to her website. She sells this course for $597. This is just a very generous gift that she's including for joining Teachable.
Yes.
Okay. So Mark Hubbard, are the bonuses available for Teachable Basic members? If you're on Basic, you can upgrade to Pro and you will get instant access to that. Okay. Tony is asking UK. So in the bonus course, does it go into detail on how to include the 5 C's onto your sales page?
It doesn't go through that framework in a ton of detail. It talks more specifically about how to create your unique language for your brand. So as opposed to crafting sales messages like we focused on in this training, I believe it's going to talk more about how you become recognizable for the messages that you craft in your brand. I have another training. If you want to dive deeper into the 5 C's, just reach out to me in addition, and I can link you up with that.
Awesome. Wilma is asking, I have my own website. How would this work in combination with Teachable? Kaye, do you want to kind of share how do you tie in your website with your Teachable platform?
Yeah, so my other half of my business when I'm not selling courses is a web and branding design agency. So I have some resources that may or may not be available to other people. But the way I have it linked up is literally everything is on my site, from lead generation all the way through the sales page. And then I only link them with the checkout. But like I was saying earlier, I was just in the dashboard this weekend and I was checking out the new page builder for sales pages. And I'm planning on switching over all of my sales pages to the Teachable platform because they look sexy now. They look really good.
We're all very excited. The new features. So I was seeing here, Michelle's asking, should I stay on Teachable while I'm trying to create courses and not currently making an income on Teachable? So I have two answers for that, and one might resonate, one might not. I would say the benefit of joining Teachable, if you're not like launching yet or selling courses, is that you get access to the training. So you're not just like kind of getting the software, but you're getting the education so you can learn and like make sure you're doing it in the right in the right steps. Now, if you were in a position where you're like, I need to earn an income like yesterday, like I need to just like do something, I'm in it, like maybe it's like a financially stressful situation, I would say, look, it's fine. We have a lot of free resources. Don't feel like you have to like join Teachable now if it's putting you in that position. But the reason why most people join Teachable before they're even ready to launch their course is that they get access to the training so they can just follow it step by step. So then when they launch, they know they're doing it in the right order. Okay, question for Kaye from Roger. After I have my avatar archetype well defined, how do I choose which social networks are a better fit to reach these people online?
Ooh, I might have very unpopular advice for this, especially compared to all of the people who speak particular platforms or teach specific platforms. I 100% believe that you should show up on whichever popular platform is most exciting to you. I think that a lot of people focus too much on trying to pinpoint which audience is where, but really there's millions of people on all of the top platforms. And what is actually going to really drive your success is if you can sustainably show up and be visible. And that often doesn't happen if you just don't like a platform or if you don't find it very intuitive. So for example, I've tried really hard to, in the past, like love Twitter, and it just does not speak my language. Like I don't speak in 140 characters or however many characters that they have anymore. So I've given myself permission to set that one down and focus on the platforms that I really love, like YouTube and Pinterest in particular.
Amazing. This is an interesting one from Jason. Is royalty, which is one of the archetypes, the hardest but most valuable brand to build because of associating with A-listers? What do you believe the Masterclass archetypes are? It's like Masterclass, like the Serena Williams and like
Yeah, Masterclass is definitely a royal brand. I think that all of the archetypes are really valuable. With royal, you are leading by example. And yes, it would be helpful to associate yourself with well-known influencers because it's going to add to that perception. But even just you walking your own talk and showing your own exceptional results that you're getting through your work, that's being a royal. Also, if you're helping your community be more successful, that's being a royal. So there are, yes, stereotypical ways that the royal archetype shows up, but there are other ways that are accessible to everybody. It's really about being who you are at your truth and at your strength. And you might argue that maybe it's like less people can afford a high-priced royal brand, so maybe the profit is going to average out. I think that what's most important is just to lean into who you naturally are, not try to like war game the different archetypes against each other.
That's great. This is an interesting one from Elizabeth, who asks, if the color schemes associated with the archetype simply don't align with our personal preferences? It's a good question.
Yes, great question. This is one of the reasons why I really recommend that you blend two together, because often we resonate with the visuals of one more than the other. When I first launched my brand, it was really heavy into the magician imagery. And over time I've shifted because it just has felt less and less resonant to me to more of a sage, geeky, clean visual style. And also know that while I give you examples, especially like on my site, there are a bunch of other ways to also communicate those archetypes visually. I'm just getting you started with some inspiration. So even if you don't resonate with like the first 3 color palettes that you see, there might be one that does communicate those values and that truth that aren't what you're seeing right on the first page there.
Amazing. And by the way, just a virtual high five to everyone who has upgraded. I'm seeing in the chat, welcome. Please keep us posted with what you get up to. And if you're going through like Kaye's course, like tag us on Instagram, snap a photo, because it's so great to see even just like the progress people have from like implementing new strategies and implementing new things that they're learning through these workshops. Okay, so Charisse has a great question about the different pricing. First, she says, or they say, thank you, Kaye, great session, very helpful. Now, you might notice a difference on the website where it says $79 versus $99. So $79 a month for Pro is paid annually. So it works out to be a little bit cheaper because you're paying upfront for the year, whereas the Pro plan is every month, you're not locked in, and so you can cancel at any time. So that's why there's a difference there.
I have the Pro account. It's my favorite. It's nice having the 0% transaction fees, especially as you're growing and scaling.
It's like, it makes a difference, after a certain point.
Yeah.
Okay, Hater is saying, regarding the quiz, I'm just starting out with my brand. I found the questions to fit people that have been active with their brand for a long time already. Sorry, I missed the first half of the webinar, so maybe it's mentioned. Okay, that's an interesting one. So yeah, what would you say to people who maybe are very new, so they don't maybe have like that groundwork already in place?
I think that as long as you answer the questions as yourself and what is true to you as a human, I think you're going to end up in a really great spot. It doesn't have to be this business facade that we're putting on. It actually works a lot better and it feels a lot more natural when you're being yourself in your brand. There are some examples of people who like assume a character, especially if it's a big business, and choose an archetype that's completely separate from the people that founded the business. But in most cases, especially for us smaller entrepreneurs and smaller businesses, if we just be ourselves and answer the quiz with our personal preference, you're going to end up in an accurate archetype.
I love that. Okay, this is a question that I think comes up a lot, and maybe you thought it, but you didn't type it in. So I definitely want to address it, which is the whole, do I need to use my name? Do I need to be the face of my brand? I think because we see a lot of personal brands like thrive with courses because they're teaching, but is that necessary? Can we be behind like a name or like a different brand?
Totally. And if you look for examples, you'll find successful people who have done it both ways. I think the key thing to keep in mind is if you want to use something other than your name, that makes it potentially more scalable and more saleable later on. If you noticed from when I had my course logos, I have names for each of my businesses, but they all fall underneath the umbrella of my personal brand. The benefit of using a personal brand, on the other hand, is it creates a natural and immediate human connection. There's no barrier between that. And if you're somebody who's selling your story, your expertise, your knowledge, it can be a natural fit to use your personal name. But in the end, it's a personal decision, excuse me, too many words, personal decision, and neither of them is wrong. So pick the one that feels right in your intuition and your gut.
Awesome. All right, I think we'll do one or two more questions here. I'm not going to count this one, but Kiro, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Is it necessary to register a company in the US to sell online courses? What about taxes? No, you don't. But if you are in the US, and if you're on the Pro plan, and you have like affiliates, for example, we can send them the tax paperwork. Like one of the benefits of Teachable and like what our focus has been compared to other platforms is really on like the finance side. So making sure that you can accept payments easily, taking care of like the things that just like VAT taxes, for example, if you're in the UK, well, everyone has to deal with VAT taxes. The things that kind of aren't the most fun unless you enjoy doing that or can be more time consuming, we really focus on like, how do we make that part easier? Also, the other thing too, is you have one-click payments. So if someone purchases your course or any courses on Teachable, so they've purchased Kaye's course, their payments are saved with their accounts. So they can upgrade to your next course or your next product with one click, very similar to how Amazon has that.
It's been such a huge help. I have a ton of students in Europe, and having you guys take care of the VAT taxes is priceless. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share again the quiz because people are asking for it. If the link doesn't work, I think it looks like it was again. I think we just send a lot
You guys broke the internet.
traffic all at once. But it's great because it just shows that like people want to create brands that are authentic to them and that aren't just like this cookie cutter, like what we think we should be, rather we can just be who we are.
Yes, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Okay, there's a lot of questions. Okay, I highly encourage you, because we're not going to get through all these questions, definitely follow Kaye Putnam on Instagram. Tag us too if you have any questions. The quiz is there. And if you join this Teachable bundle you're going to get Kaye's incredible course. It's a $600 value plus Teachable You. And so I'd love to also hear like your journey and like the things that you get up to as well. Okay, great. The link is working. I think we should leave it here. Maybe, Kaye, if you have any like parting words of advice or things that you would leave people with. But let's also say thank you to Kaye in the chat, because this has been super, super helpful.
Oh, this was such an amazing experience. Thank you so much for having me, Jess. And I just want to encourage everybody that if you have an idea in your head, if you have knowledge, expertise, the world literally needs your genius. Yes, things are getting more competitive, but also there's another couple billion people in the world that are coming online in the next decade, and they all need to learn what you know as well. So now is the time to share that, to make that impact, and to serve the people that you are meant to serve. So I hope that you go out and do that. And I hope this training helped you in some small way to take another step towards that vision of yours.
Thanks so much, Kaye. And I'm going to actually end this out on a video that we did a little while ago where we surprised some of our Teachable creators with a little fun thing. They thought they were coming into New York for an interview, and it turned out to be something else. And I think it really touches on what you said, Kaye, about the people that are waiting to hear from you and your message. So thank you all for spending your Tuesday with us. I hope this has been helpful. I know it has. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Dude, I am a crier. Is this gonna make me cry?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nice headphones, by the way.
You can press play.
Hi Benny, this is Tiffany. I wanted to just say something nice about you real quick. I've always loved your videos because you help me to not be afraid to make mistakes.
Hi Benny, to me you teach bravery. Maintenant je parle français avec mes enfants, especially Frankie. She's going to learn French. And that is a wonderful thing. And I thank you so much.
Penny, surprise. To me, you teach moms that they're not alone on their parental journey.
So I thank you for Penny, for being Penny, and for being wonderful and helping us each through our own journey of our special needs kids.
Jessica, thank you so much for allowing me to have a better quality of life, and also thank you for teaching me how to be an advocate for other women. So because of your leadership and leading the way, I'm not going to get emotional, but I can reach out to people too.
Time you've put in, the work you've done, the research you've done, we can expand our studios and now welcome the youngest students, and that's because of the work you've done.
Nicole, I'm 60, and you've taught me so much about how to reach for higher heights.
Because of the example that you've been, I am finally ready to transition out of a career that I've been in for 10 years. I really owe a lot to you.
Hi Asad, my name is Javed. I don't know if you know me. So I'm from India, Mumbai, and without you knowing, you contributed towards my growth. I even won, the biggest talent show in my country, India, and I'm the first magician to do it. So I'm really thankful to your contribution. Keep doing what you do.
I'm speechless right now. I know of that guy, I've followed his journey, I've been super impressed, but I've never spoken to him directly before. So to hear that he actually learned from 52 cards, that's mind-boggling, that's awesome.
When I see pictures of their kids and their families and being able to see that these are things that they're able to go and impact others, you just realize that the reach is so much further. And I know that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't decided to use courses and if I just stuck with one-to-one. And it's just a lot in a little bit of time.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that I'm on the other side of this, but it was hard for me too. And I think that with most of the teachers on Teachable, they've gone through their own personal journey to get to where they are.
I grew up thinking that I was bad at language learning and that I didn't have the talent for it. And it's opened up a whole new world of possibilities to me. And I can see in their faces as they're telling me their stories that this is something that's truly been important to them and it's truly made an impact in their lives. And it's a privilege that I'm able to make that impact with other people.
Think about who do you want to help? I hadn't even met some of those people. I didn't even know what some of those people looked like.
I came into this just a mom who was really desperate to help her kid and then really wanted to share that information. You know that you're doing things for people, but then to see it all is